kids are forced to watch public executions, you struggle. You struggle to survive. If you were to believe in God, not just you, but your entire 3 generations of your family will. I've seen people lose their limbs because of those kind of accidents. He got shot 90 bullets. My friends actually was enrolled in school and they had to go see it because it's required. And when he was telling me this story, he was just like completely. Oh, hello there. I did not see you come in. My name is Charles and I'm from North Korea. I escaped North Korea twice, and today I'd like to review some of the North Korean issues, and some of them are personal to me and some of them are just North Korea in general, and I like to rate them, S being the worst and D being the least bad. Before we begin, if you were to reorder these things, just please let me know in the comment. I'd love to know. So first, we got family portraits. So family portrait is the Kim's family's portrait, and every single one of the household in North Korea has to have them. Whenever you get the house, you are provided with the portrait, right? So every single, like 25 million people has it. And if they don't, right, for some reason you take it down, then that considers a treason and you will get punished for it. 4 years of like prison camp. The worst case, we have like a box like with like cloth in them. Like it's called like the 정성 사업, right? So it's like 정성, it's like your loyalty? 정성 사업. No, it's I don't know what 정성 사업 is. So what is 정성 사업? It's such a North Korean word. Oh, there you go. The very first, like the thing that comes up is Kim Jong Un's like portraits. 3대 초상화 정성 사업. So there's a specific word for cleaning and maintaining the portraits, right? And if a fly lands on it, and there's a fly poop on it, and secret police comes in, they see that, then you will go to a 6 months labor camp, or worst case, like if you don't have them, or it's teared, or the glass breaks, then like 4 years prison camp. But I would say it's not too bad, so I'm gonna put it in like C tier, military conscription. All right, like I'm gonna say it right out, it's kind of bad because you go to military for 12 years. So the kids, right after high school, they would go to military when you're 17, and you would come back out at 29, right? So you basically spend your good years in the military. But the type of physical abuse in North Korea, it's not trained. It's literally the higher ups like beating, the privates. A lot of times there is a 도주. What's 도주? Desertion. So a lot of times, like the military actually desert. I would say because you have to spend 12 years, like I'm gonna put it on the A tier. Because a lot of those 12 years is not good 12 years. You struggle. You struggle to survive. The next one on the list is assigned jobs. I think that goes really well with the military because in North Korea, believe it or not, you can't choose your career. Right after high school, you go to military, right? And you are assigned a certain duty at the military. And either that's farming, constructions, or either like a driving, and all those kind of like a maintaining, or all these kind of different jobs. Jobs are there in the military. And after those 12 years, when you come back, you are actually assigned to certain jobs at a local, like a factories or farms. Those are two like a main workforce areas. So people who were born, right, as a farmer, there is 99.9% that you're gonna be a farmer. And if your family is one of those descendant of a person who fought with Kim Il-sung, which is the 1% of like the royalties, then like you're gonna be born as the royalty and you will live in Pyongyang. So I'm gonna say assigned jobs, it's not as bad as like the military, but still worse than family portrait, because like the freedom of like choosing your job, right? like, and doing what you love to do, right? Because of that reason. You know what, actually, I'm gonna put the family portrait up to B, and then I'm gonna put the assigned jobs down here. Because, sure, yeah, you do get assigned a job, and you can't get fired because you're assigned to it. Whereas like going to prison because you didn't clean something, yeah, that's bad. That's bad. Coal mine. The work in the coal mine is really dangerous, right? It's terrifying because, you know, there are floods happening in the coal mine, and there's cave-ins happening in the coal mine. The railroads are laid down by the Japanese like 80 years ago, like almost 100 years ago. The coal car itself, without the coal, it's like 1,000 pounds. The coal cars derail very often. If you can't control the speed of the car, it can actually flip, and whoever is in the front would get squished. I've seen people lose their limbs because of those kind of accidents. Cave-ins are happening. So I'm gonna put that in the A tier. That's the whole reason why I decided to escape North Korea for the second time, was like dying in a coal mine, and I made it out. Thank goodness. Corn in the poop. When I was in the North Korean Detention Center, I was fed 50 kernels of corn per meal. And there was one time I was really hungry, so I, you know, picked out corn out of my own poop. And you know, that's, I mean, the least bad, right? Because I survived. Sure, it tasted really bitter and it didn't taste good, but you know, I survived. Limited haircuts. Like if I go to North Korea like this now, I'll go to 6 months of like a it's called 단련대, forced labor re-educational camp. So I'm gonna put the bad haircut. Well, I mean, you know, it's like limited haircuts. Like it's still not as bad as like assigned job. So you just spend like 6 months, you know, at a jail. So at a like a labor camp. So it's not that bad. Like not like do the well. I know, you know what? Actually, it's I'm gonna move it up to C, right? Because it's like assigned jobs, like limited haircuts. You know, that's all. That I feel like that's all the same category. Kim Jong Un. You know, I feel like he has to go to the S tier. Man, he's just the worst. He's just the worst person. I feel like he's the worst person in the entire universe. He's also the reason why my mom died, and you know, there's a lot of people who's dying. So, can you believe like this guy shot and killed his uncle? He publicly executed his uncle with the guns that you usually shoot down the plane. And then that was not enough. He fed his uncle, like the deceased body, to dogs. Yeah. Man. Kim Jong Un has the power to change all of these, but he doesn't because he likes the dictatorship. Right? So I'm gonna put him at the S tier because he's the worst. No internet. It's bad. It's bad. But it's not as bad as all these above. So I'm gonna put it at least bad. Maslow hierarchy of needs. Like the internet is kind of like at the very top. It's at the very top. So who needs internet? It's toxic anyway. I learned coding through internet. And also you are watching this on online. So online is good, but I think it's not a survival necessity. But I guess also in a way, like if you're learning like how to survive on the internet, that could be. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna put that on the B tier because if there was internet in North Korea, right, and people learned about, you know, what world outside of North Korea is like, you know, everything could change. No freedom of speech. I'm gonna put that in the C tier because, like, sure, like in America, you can say, you know, bad things, right, about the regime. Like if you don't like, not the regime, the government. If you want to say, you know, bad things about the government or, you know, healthcare or anybody, right, you can. Like you can mean it, right? You can really mean it, or you can either joke about it. Either way, you're fine. But in North Korea, if you were to say something like, oh, I don't like what Kim Jong-il is doing, or I don't like what Kim Jong-un is doing, that's a treason, right? That in itself is a betrayal. So you get thrown into political prison camp Not just you, but your entire 3 generations of your family. But, you know, you can still get by without saying anything, right? I mean, like, I don't know. Oh, we'll see. We'll see. You let me know. Please let me know in the comment. What do you think? Public execution. Obviously A tier because it's bad. So I'm actually gonna put it in the first row because it's just really bad. So back in 2007, in North Korea, there was in Suncheon, where I used to live, there is a factory that actually specializes in rocks. Like the rock. I want you to put the rock.
It doesn't matter what you think.
No, but it's like they make this kind of rocks that are specially used in decorations. And that factory's manager was publicly executed in 2007 in Suncheon, and he got shot 90 bullets, and there's 3 people came out with 30 bullets each. My friends actually was enrolled in school, and they had to go see it because, you know, like it's required. And I thankfully I didn't have to go because I wasn't enrolled at school. And when he came back home and when he was telling me this story, he was just like completely, it's like pale. Seeing that person get shot like 30 bullets each, and at the end of it, there is no like body. It's just like liquefied. Yeah, it's like a liquid. Just like it kind of melted down. I think also public execution and kids watching the execution goes in the S tier. Kids are forced to watch public executions in high school, in the middle school, sitting in the very front row, and this is what's gonna happen to you if you don't listen. So obey. No freedom of religion. I'm gonna put that on the C tier because I feel like, again, that's the triangle of needs. I feel like freedom of religion is on the very far top. Like you have to survive first, right? You need to like need things to survive. But North Korea, those kind of conditions aren't met. Though I'm a Christian and I believe in God, and it's very important. Christianity is something that is very dear to my heart. And also, speaking of which, North Korea actually has Christians. Like North Korea once was known as the Jerusalem of the East. Pyongyang was, which is the capital of North Korea, because there were so many Christians back in the day. But after Kim Jong-il came to power, he killed everybody. So in North Korea, if you were to believe in God, you would be punished. You would, not just you, but your entire 3 generations of your family will end up in political prison camp. So, actually, I'm gonna put that on the A tier. Surveillance. I mean, Uncle Sam is watching us all the time anyway, right? I mean, we're watched. You know, even in the free world. But North Korean regime actually surveillances you. Okay, I'm gonna put it on the D, the least bad, because yes, there's a saying in North Korea that 낱말은 새가 듣고 반말은 쥐가 듣는다. So meaning that the day talk, birds would listen, and night talk, rats would listen. That meaning that you're constantly being monitored in North Korea, which is true, right? That's how the regime like is controlling you. But I feel like that is still better than not having food. So I'm gonna put that on D tier. Unpaved roads. I'm also gonna put that on the D tier. Well, I mean, some of you might disagree with me because like, oh, if you have a paved roads, like you might, you know, be able to like do trading with different countries and drive the trucks and truck full of food, you know, and come in. But I don't know. It's still bad, right? During the winter, like it freezes when it snows, it rains, it gets muddy, you know, it gets all dirty, you know, it's really bad. Like your clothes gets dirty, your shoe gets dirty, and it's a whole mess, right? And whenever the car or whenever like whenever the wind happens, it's really dusty, so it's really bad. But I mean, I can still deal with it. So I think that's like this bad. My mother's starving. That was really bad. I watched my mom starve to death, and she didn't eat because she wanted to feed me, right? So I carry that burden as well. Like I'm not just blaming on my dad, but I'm also partially it's me because she wanted to feed me instead of she eating. If she didn't care about me, she might have still be alive, but because I'm here, she's not. I'm gonna put that on the A tier, but I don't think it's as worst as like Kim Jong Un and public execution. I mean, personally, it is really bad. It's worse to me, but for the grand scheme of things, where millions of people dying, I feel like one death is not as bad as many deaths. Vomited rice. So when I was in the detention center, I'm gonna put that in the D tier list, because when I was in the detention center, I was really hungry, and we're marching on a road to work site, and I saw dry vomit on the road, and I was really hungry that I got on my hands and knees and began picking the rice out of the vomit. Like I had to do what I had to do, just like picking corn out of my own poop. Yeah, it's not as bad, in a grand scheme of things. Being hungry, it's pretty bad. I'm gonna put that on B tier list, because being hungry sucks. Like you get malnourished and you die. Travel restrictions, meaning in North Korea, you are not allowed to leave the town that you're currently in. For example, if you're going to a city that is 100 miles away, you need to get permission from the local regime, and you need to get that kind of a traveling document, and that's where they come in and I want to bribe, you have to bribe me, and in order to get this, I need, I want things. So I'm gonna put that in the C tier list. Can't leave North Korea. As a North Korean citizen, you don't get passports. People who have passports are the top 1%, the government-related people. Japanese, there's a good amount of Japanese populations that are living in North Korea, and those kind of people has it. Chinese people, there are a decent number of Chinese people also living in North Korea. They have it. Normal people, no. Military, no. So I'm gonna put that on the C tier list, right? But it's still, it's bad. It's bad. Detention center, I'm gonna put that on the A tier list, because when I was in the detention center, I was fed 150 kernels of corn per day. I was forced to work up to 12 hours every day. At night, the guards would storm into our cells and force us to recite the rules of the camp. And there are many rules, and if you misquoted even one of them, they would force you to stand all night reciting the rules until work began the next morning. So you're basically not sleeping, not eating, and you have to do the work. So let's say that you are on a farm and you are taking out the weeds, and if you were to sit down and then do it, they would come and beat you up, and they would ask you to stand up and do it correctly. So it was really bad. So I'm gonna put that on the A tier list. North Korean propaganda. Some of the songs are very catchy. Very catchy. I mean, that's why it works, right, in North Korea. And North Korean propaganda, meaning North Korea is the best country in the whole world. No, that's not it. A lot of countries actually claim that they're the best countries in the world, right? And some of them are great. But, North Korea is definitely not one of them. South Korea is a very, very rich country, right? And North Korea portrays South Korea as poorer than North Korea. It's pretty bad. That's a propaganda, right? So I'm gonna put that on the B tier list. Hospitals. When you go to hospitals, you have to bring your own medications. Doctors and nurses are just there to inject those medications that you bring from home. And there aren't health equipments to help you, and there's no technology like CT scans, right? Or one of those kind of things you lay down and just goes in and scan you. I mean, there is power outage happens in the hospitals all the time. Tuberculosis, right? TB, that's very curable disease, right? And my mom had TB and some heart, trouble, heart conditions. And if the North Korean hospitals, right, when we went there, were actually good, I feel like my mom could have, you know, survived, but she didn't. So I'm gonna put that on the A tier. It's pretty bad. Limited electricity. I'm gonna put that in the C tier list because when I first came to China, there was 24-hour running electricity, water, right? Hot and cold, indoor bathrooms, and all of these things, right? That was mind-blowing to me. Like, how do you have electricity running 24 hours and 24 hours like water, like hot and cold? If there's no electricity, I mean, you know, nothing you can do, just candlelight, you know, and family gathered together and I get, you know, just play like a card game. And there is card game in North Korea. It's called Sasaki. It's like a similar to poker, but all family plays that. So I think not having electricity, I believe, brings people together in a way, you know, because like you don't be on the phone all the time, you know, and playing games all the time, you know, and so yeah, I'm gonna put that on the C tier list. And let's see, you know, I'm pretty happy with all of these right here. Yeah, please leave a comment on if you were to, you know, rearrange this tier list, like what would it be? Please let me know. I'd love to know. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. If you found this video, you know, enjoyable, entertaining, please like, comment, and subscribe. And please make sure to turn on the notification bell. So when I next post my video, you're gonna be the first one to come back to my channel. Alrighty, thanks guys.